Next up is our Science and Education segment with our host, Barbara Brabetz. Barbara will be doing a Part 1 interview with Susanne Dorr and Elizabeth Hoffman. They'll be talking about the transition of the Schenectady Museum to the Museum of Innovation and Science, or commonly known as MySci. Let's watch.
Welcome to another Science and Education Impact segment. I'm Barbara Brabetz. My guests today are from the Schenectady Museum, or what we formerly think of as the Schenectady Museum. We have two lovely guests from the Museum of Innovation and Science, MySci, located in Schenectady, New York. Welcome, people.
Thank you for having us, Barbara.
Well, since I have double duties here, I'll introduce you first, Susanne. Susanne, you are the development coordinator at the museum?
Yes, that's correct.
And I understand that you're local, that you born and bred in Amsterdam, New York?
I am. I was born in Amsterdam. My parents were living there at the time, and we moved to the Rotterdam area shortly thereafter.
So you've decided to make this place your home. That's great, as many of us here have. Elizabeth Hoffman.
Yes.
You are the educational specialist at the museum?
I am.
And you come from the North Country?
I do.
Where exactly?
From Whitehall.
All right, and you're still up there now, and you make the commute down to Schenectady?
Glens Falls area.
Yes, that's terrific. So, I read in the paper, I see on the TV, I hear in the news that the Schenectady Museum is not the Schenectady Museum anymore. What do we call it? MySci. Very cute. I love it. Perfect for this segment. So, the Museum of Innovation and Science. Certainly a great place, Schenectady, to have it headquartered, since it is a hub of innovation and science 100 years ago and today as well. So we have the great history of this area with General Electric, with Knowles Atomic Power Laboratory, with many small startup companies that continue to do well in the area, and it kind of lends itself well to a rebranding of the museum. Can you tell us how that came about? Let's see. Susanne, I get to pick.
Surely, yes. The museum staff and board of trustees formed a committee to examine a name change and to craft a new vision and mission for the museum. The museum's mission is a rework or tweak, if you will, of our former mission to celebrate, explore, and inspire science and technology, past, present, and future. The name MySci was one that was vetted through a survey and stakeholder process. It is meant to convey a personalization of science, that is MySci, my science, and is to engage all visitors to the museum, from our preschool children to adults.
So, Elizabeth, as education coordinator, education is such a key concept here. We love science and education. So could you tell us a little bit about the offerings that we have at the museum for both formal and informal education to clientele of all ages?
Well, starting with our preschool program called Little Wonders. That's once a month, and the students or the children receive a book, and they also do a science experiment. And coming up in October, our book that month will be From Seed to Pumpkin.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yes, it falls very nicely with Halloween. Also, we have our Fetch Lab, which will actually be changing very soon to our Science Discovery Lab. And at that lab, we actually do science experiments. Many of them in the past have come from shows like Zoom or Fetch, Hoffman, but we also bring in our own different experiments that the students can try, and many of them focus around math and science, technology, engineering, all the components of STEM, but that is actually open to the public, and it's free with admission.
So it's open just about the same time that the museum is open, and it's an interactive laboratory. There's someone to help guide them through the experiment?
Yes, it runs about an hour and a half.
Oh, that's great.
And that actually is available Thursday through Sunday, and then in October we'll have it available Saturday through Sunday.
That's great. So again, it isn't just going to the museum and seeing the wonderful exhibits or experiencing the terrific gift shop where I buy many of my science nerd toys. I swear to you, I do. But it's also these interactive pieces. It's going to change all the time. So if a person goes in September, it's not going to be the same in October, November, December. There's that dynamic that allows a clientele to come back time and time again. And Susanne, is that one of the aims with the retooling with MySci?
It is, and in fact, I'd like to highlight a partnership that the museum has with the San Francisco-based Exploratorium. This year, beginning in opening the first Saturday in October, we'll be opening a 3,500 square foot exhibition with numerous interactives, and the title of the exhibition is Seeing. It focuses on the physical properties of the eye and light and how we perceive things in different circumstances.
So as from illusions, those kind of optical illusions that we're all familiar with, to actually how the biology of the eye makes those illusions happen. So
yes, exactly. One of the components of the exhibit focuses on motion-induced blindness, and you focus on a spot on the exhibit, and then you spin a disc, and there are objects in the foreground, some colored, some not, and as your brain focuses on the spinning disc, the objects in the foreground tend to disappear, and you don't recognize that they're there anymore, and all you're actually seeing is what you're focused on, and that is an example of motion-induced blindness.
So I'm just thinking of the teenagers who are going to come to MySci, and they're going to dominate on this thing because it's really cool to watch. I've seen it back at the Exploratorium, and they're not going to want to leave. The little kids will be like pulling on them, please let me do it, let me do it. So I hope there's enough of a crowd there that we get to that problem. But tell us how this, how partnerships with museums work in general, Susanne. Is it a start with a phone call, or?
Let me back up on this one. This one was born with our curator of collections and archives. It has been something that he had been researching and looking at bringing to the museum for a period of time. It is a conversation with funders, and this particular partnership with the Exploratorium is a 5-year partnership, and that's made possible through the generosity of Neil and Jane Golub and National Grid. Yes, it starts off with a conversation with a potential partner. Sometimes it is determining what is the best match between that corporation and their goals and the museum's goals.
And without the generous donations of the Golubs and National Grid, museums and nonprofits and other entities in this area really wouldn't have a shot. I mean, it takes a lot of money to bring these exhibits that are world-class to town.
Yes, it takes a substantial amount of funding, and it also takes a commitment on the part of funders. Their sponsorship of this exhibition or this initiative is a 5-year commitment to the museum. So it certainly will permit us to change our exhibitions once a year. So once a year we'll have a new 3,500 square foot exhibition made up of multiple interactives for the public to enjoy. And it will be from the youth to the adults, because these exhibitions are appropriate for science kids of all ages.
To the young and the young at heart, right, as we say?
Yes, and actually the nice part about these exhibits is that we can pull things from our own collection to complement the interactives, which Chris Hunter is fastly working on.
So
quickly working on.
So we have the toddler program, which changes every month. We have new world-class exhibits coming every year. We have your existing exhibits, which are there and are brought out in rotation. So there's always something to do at MySci. Oh my gosh, did I just give you a logo?
There is.
Susanne Dorr, Development Coordinator of MySci, formerly the Schenectady Museum. Elizabeth Hoffman, Educational Specialist, also for MySci. I thank you for being here. I thank you for dealing with the fact that there are 2 of you here at once. We did a great job, I think.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. very
Oh,
much.
you're welcome. So go ahead and check out my side. Check out the exhibits that are coming this fall. You never know what you're going to find at the museum. This is Barbara Brabetz for the Science and Education segment on Impact. Thanks for watching.
Proctors, bringing the best in arts, education, and entertainment.